Hey everyone, I'm Garry Adelman, American Battlefield Trust, and I'm standing at a place that you already know where I am because it's one of the most iconic of all American historic places. Of course, we're at Ford's Theater. I'm here with Ranger Jake, and we're going to talk about, of course, the terrible events that happened on April 14th and April 15th, 1865. Set us up, Jake. How does the president come here?
So President Lincoln attends Ford's Theater on April 14th as part of the celebrations after Robert E. Lee's surrender, right? So at this moment, the war is not quite over, but it's rapidly ending. The whole city is celebrating, and Lincoln announces he's going to make a public appearance here at a play called Our American Cousin.
It's hard to imagine the scene at that point. Such jubilation, such celebration, and then here he comes. He's supposed to come with a particularly famous person, right?
He is. When Lincoln first makes his announcement, he announces that General Grant will be attending the theater with him. Grant didn't get out much, so that was going to be a really big draw. Grant hadn't visited his children in several months. He'd been out at the front, and so he declined and went up to New Jersey via train.
And instead you have a couple, Major Rathbone and Clara Harris, is that right?
That's correct. Clara Harris is a good friend of Mary Todd Lincoln. She's a U.S. Senator's daughter, and Major Rathbone, a veteran of some of the largest battles of the war, Antietam, Fredericksburg. So a real tight Washington power couple to bring with you along to your visit.
Okay, so it must have been a lively scene, but eventually the play, of course, starts happening, and Lincoln is across the way in one of those chairs. Is that right?
That's correct. If I can kind of turn and gesture here. Yes, so Lincoln arrives to the play a little bit late, midway through the first act, gets a rousing standing ovation as he comes in. He takes his seat in a red high-backed rocking chair. You can see a replica there behind the blue flag with the stars. First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln is sitting right next to him. In that kind of black chair, there's Clara Harris in the left-hand window, and then Henry Rathbone is kind of sitting on that couch, sort of looking over her shoulder down to the stage.
Okay, and of course, as for the notorious event here, Lincoln famously does not have a bodyguard outside his door that evening, and of course, John Wilkes Booth goes through that door there and take us there.
Well, so Booth, John Wilkes Booth had complete access to the theater as a very popular actor, right? He had actually placed this piece of wood broken off of a music stand just behind the door, and once he had essentially talked his way into the box that evening, the door shut behind him. He wedged the door shut so no one else could get in. That's the only way in or out of the box. So he's already planning to make his exit another way. Booth waited for a moment in the play where there was only one actor on stage. The actor delivered this very funny line. The whole audience was laughing, and Booth stepped forward, pulled out a single-shot Derringer pistol, and shot Lincoln in the back of the head. When that happened, Major Rathbone, Army man, jumped up to his feet, tried to stop Booth, but Booth pulled out a knife, stabbed Rathbone in the arm, ripping from his elbow up to the shoulder, and then Booth used that opportunity to jump up onto the balcony and then down to the stage. This is when he famously exclaims "Sic semper tyrannis," which is Latin for "thus always tyrants," kind of setting up his whole act here. And then Booth runs across the stage out through a back door to where he has a horse waiting and escapes.
And then here, not everybody immediately knows what's happening. Was this part of the show? That's John Wilkes Booth. What's the scene there?
It's very much as you describe. The eyewitness accounts, of which we have over 100 from people who were there that night, most of them record that exact sentiment. Is it all in the play? There are no guns in Our American Cousin. Why is this happening? That's John Wilkes Booth, but this is a comedy. Why? He's a dramatic actor, right? I think we can all kind of imagine if we're just sitting watching a comedy show and this plays out. There's that moment of shock where you can't tell truth from fiction. Pretty quickly, though, as Booth is running across stage, people hear Mary Todd Lincoln screaming. They hear Major Rathbone yelling, "Somebody stop that man, he's just shot the president." And pandemonium breaks out shortly after that. Men are jumping onto the stage to chase after Booth. People are smashing chairs, trying to get out the exits very quickly. Actresses on the stage, soldiers are trying to calm the crowd, but it doesn't really work that well.
Now let's stick with President Abraham Lincoln here. He has been, we now know, mortally wounded. There is a young surgeon in there. What do they do and where do they take him?
Yes. So there are 3 doctors who happen to be Civil War Army surgeons, and they all rush into the box. They all have the same diagnosis, which is that President Lincoln is going to die. It's just a matter of how long and where he dies. So they decide they have to get him out of the theater. They recruit some soldiers, they pick Lincoln up, and they carry him around the back of the balcony where we're standing now. They carry him down a spiral staircase and out in the middle of the street. From there, they get invited into this red brick row house across the street. A man comes out on the front porch with a candle and yells to bring him up, and that's exactly what they do. They carry him into the Peterson boarding house. That's where the president dies about 9 hours later.
And famously, a photograph will be taken of the bed after he's taken out of it.
That is correct.
And it has to be among the jubilation of the near victory in the Civil War after the surrender of Robert E. Lee's army. Here you have the death of the president. When it got to one of the remaining army commanders, he said this is the worst possible calamity for the South. And suddenly we are thrown into a much more difficult period as a result. What does this all mean, and why should people come to Ford's Theater?
So this is one of those moments that you can definitely point to and say the course of American history changed in a single night right here. Today, it's a memorial of Lincoln. It's a place to remember and understand those tragic events, but it's also a place to remember Lincoln's legacy and keep that alive. Ford's is still an active theater in support of Lincoln's love of the performing arts. And so it's a really essential, beautiful place.
I would say not only that, but impactful, profound. See the artifacts, some of which were here that evening in the basement. Come see a show and imagine what it must have been like to be in that audience that night. Maybe understand American history a little bit better. Thank you so much to Jake. Thanks to Ford's Theater. Thank you all for watching and for supporting battlefield education and preservation.
Hello, this is Trace Atkins. To stay up to date on all the latest and coolest videos, please subscribe to the Trust YouTube channel. Preserve, educate, inspire.